An MQ-9 Reaper drone fired one of the last missiles in the United States' 20-year war in Afghanistan. The Pentagon believed that the target's car was packed with explosives and that he was planning an attack on Kabul's airport.
And that was bullshit. That was bullshit. It was incredibly, that was just the worst, biggest bullshit. We killed an entire family. We killed Zamara Ahmadi's whole family. I don't know if there's going to be blood on this. Hold on. They said no.
Who was killed with 9 members.
Oh, no, there's no blood here. I want you to see what happens when the American government does this shit.
Of his family was in fact an aid worker with a US-based charity. Under the Obama administration.
Hey, by the way, for the record, I just want you to understand, not a single one, not a single person within the Department of Defense was held liable in the aftermath of the investigation that was conducted. The original position was that the drone strike was justifiable, and there was a secondary explosion of the bombs that actually killed all of those civilian casualties, which, of course, if you track this sort of stuff, if you actually did care ever about this sort of stuff, then you would know that that's very commonplace. This is, of course, super, super common. The Defense Department lies about this shit all the time and say there's secondary explosions, and that's why it fucking, killed civilian casualties. It's not our fault. And the Department of Defense then was caught with their pants down, had to admit, by the way, yes, again, shouts out to the New York Times Visual Investigations team for reporting and getting this information out, which is what they did. Just like shouts out to the BBC for also reporting on the ground and showcasing that the original firefight that led to 13 U.S. troops dying was actually not the way that they presented it to be, and instead was a firefight that killed, where Americans literally killed innocent Afghan people in the process, in the fog of war. Hasan hating America. What a more name a more iconic duo. Hasan with the 2 S's too. Bro, just fucking say it's okay when people kill brown people and move on. You don't have to try to fucking moralize it. You don't have to couch it with some kind of like counter propaganda in here. We know where you're coming from. We know what your attitude is. We know what your fucking POV is. We know you're a fucking bloodthirsty.
Drones were sold to the public as the end of collateral damage and risky military assaults.
Simply put, these strikes have saved lives.
But in reality, US drone strikes have killed hundreds of civilians in the past 2 decades.
The actor that's using these technologies will not take the same care of planning as they might if they had skin in the game.
The US no longer has a monopoly on drone warfare. Now, cheap drones from China, Turkey, and Israel are fueling global conflicts.
The Chinese military hasn't used its drone in real warfare, but over the past decade, the country has exported over 200 drones to 16 countries.
Over 100 countries have access to this technology.
This was pretty funny. I remember when they reported this. I remember when they originally reported like the Chinese escalations in the field of like building drones. And of course I thought to myself, like, incredible. What an incredible piece of news. Yes, it was Wing Long. What an incredible piece of news. How devastating. How devastating. Oh, so Turkey is also responsible for killing civilians? Absolutely. What the fuck? What, you think Turkey doesn't kill citizens all the time? What are you, insane? Even before the Bayraktar, you dumb bitch. What the fuck? 1,000,000%. Yes, dude.
This is changing the nature of conflicts, from Ethiopia to Nagorno-Karabakh. Drones are even proving their effectiveness.
Chat cheering on Bayraktar when it erases Russian conscripts, but sagging in chat when Bayraktar does the same to Kurds? Yeah, straight up. Or Armenians too.
Against some of the world's most advanced militaries. In February, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Ukrainian Air Force utilized Turkish-made drones to offset some of Russia's enormous military advantage. The low barrier to entry means that drug cartels and terrorist groups have access to weaponized drones. And as warfare incorporates more AI, there's a fear of so-called slaughter bots that could identify and kill targets without human intervention. In 2021, the United Nations reported what
Wait, where's the fucking TOS, by the way? Oh, it's a 620.
may be the first use of a fully autonomous drone used in Libya's civil war.
One of the biggest misconceptions of this issue, of this is a sci-fi problem or a problem of tomorrow. It is very much a problem of today.
So as more countries and non-state actors
Bro, we've literally used internally, domestically, not drones, but similar robots, for example, like bomb disposal units, to like actually murder active shooters and shit like that. Stephen Paddock, I believe, was blown up by a fucking bomb disposal unit that had a bomb strapped to it. Like that's already, we do that already domestically as well. It's like super here.
HasanAbi.
get access to drones. How will they transform combat both on and off the battlefield? And as the rise of autonomous weapons
Wasn't a
continues,
child killed by a bomb under Obama in the States? Obama killed an American citizen extrajudiciously with a drone strike. But it is true. He was a kid. That is true.
can we trust machines?
Trump actually ended up killing someone even younger. Trump ended up, the reason why that was a significant case was it was the first ever instance of an American citizen being murdered by the American government without any sort of due process. 27-year-old expat terrorist child. No, he wasn't 27. I thought he was 18. Donald Trump killed his sister. 18 child KW. He might have been younger, but his sister was 8 years old.
To kill.
He was 16. Some of you don't know this, but like we also fucking, blew up actual city blocks within the United States of America, or have turned a blind eye to civilian right-wing paramilitaries blowing up and razing. Yes, Tulsa. We razed Tulsa. It was heavy artillery, or not artillery, but like old ass fucking planes dropping like TNT and shit into Black Wall Street. We also in 1985 did the move bombing. Both instances they were black. The victims were black. Near Drexel and UPenn. 18-year-old is an adult. Okay, it doesn't matter, dude. It's still a fucking, like, one, still a kid, and two, you guys are fucking psychotic. Like, oh, okay, if they're an adult, it's totally acceptable to kill American citizens. Okay, hopefully one day that doesn't happen to you, dumbass, okay? You don't get fucking zapped from the sky randomly. And he wasn't even 18. I think it was 16. I forget. Fuck, it's been so long. Yeah, he was fucking 16, dude. Abdul Rahman Anwar al-Awlaki, okay? An American 16-year-old who was killed while eating dinner outside of an outdoor restaurant in Yemen by a drone strike ordered by the United States President Barack Obama. His father was alleged to be an operational leader of Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, and he was killed by a CIA drone strike, and also ordered by Obama 2 weeks prior to the killing of his son. Human rights groups question why al-Awlaki was killed by the U.S. in a country which the United States was not at war. Jamil Jaffer, the deputy legal director of the American Civil Liberties Union, stated, if the government was going to be firing Predator missiles at American citizens, surely the American public has a right to know who's being targeted and why. Two U.S. officials speaking on the condition of anonymity stated that the target was Ibrahim al-Banna, an Egyptian believed to be a senior operative in Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. Another U.S. administration official speaking on the condition of anonymity described Abdurrahman al-Awlaki as a bystander who was in the wrong place at the wrong time, stating that the U.S. government did not know that Mr. al-Awlaki's son was there before the airstrike was ordered. People saying 18 and a kid aren't over 25 themselves. What? On January 29, 2017, Anwar al-Awlaki's 8-year-old daughter, Nawar al-Awlaki, the half-sister of Abdurrahman, the kid here, was killed in the raid on Yakla, a commando attack ordered by President Donald Trump. So, we finished the job, baby. You know what I mean? Just fucking empty out the lineage. Motherfuckers be like, yo, we can do terrorism because terrorism was done to us. We can do terrorism to like random people. We can do terrorism to kids, 16-year-olds. It's totally fine. Wrong place at the wrong time, baby. You gotta, I would suggest that you should have a far more responsible father if they are truly concerned about the well-being of their children. I don't think becoming an Al-Qaeda jihadist terrorist is the best way to go about doing your business. Yeah, dude, he was a fucking jihadist terrorist, dude, right? Woo! Incredible stuff. Hey, remember when the United States was collectively sanctioned and punished by the rest of the world's superpowers for these criminal acts? Oh, wait, I don't, because that never happened, and that will never fucking happen.
Use of unmanned aerial systems by the US military accelerated after the September the 11th terrorist attacks and the resulting war on terror.
These wars were the type of conflicts where drones were particularly useful, because if you want to follow individuals for a long time, if you want to surveil and monitor the ground, drones are great for that.
Drones were sold as a way to target terrorist leaders without putting soldiers' lives at risk.
Oh, yeah.
Technologically speaking, drones can be extremely precise. They can gather a lot of intelligence about their targets.
Hypothetically, though, if he was an adult, it would be okay to kill him? No, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? No. In no way, shape, or form or should you be allowed to fucking murk people overseas without the proper investigation conducted and like going through the proper channels. That's crazy. Psychotic.
Before striking.
But if you compare that to, for example, the way that air power was used in World War II, where whole cities were destroyed in Europe and Asia with carpet bombing of cities, there's been a huge change in the ability of precision weapons to have much more targeted uses of force.
But they are only as targeted as the intelligence given to its pilots. Just like with the Afghanistan strike on Zemadai Ahmadi, this can have tragic consequences.
There was no question that the drone struck precisely this individual, but it was precisely the wrong individual. So the question wasn't about
and
the
his
precision.
Fucking children, by the way.
And it was a question of the intelligence, and the intelligence is faulty.
Faulty intelligence can then lead to confirmation bias.
What the Pentagon thought were explosives may have been water canisters.
You see this individual doing things that seem to comport with what you would expect of terrorist activity.
Yeah, filling up gallons of water while being brown in your brown neighborhood. Remember, driving around in a fucking vehicle and filling up gallons of water for humanitarian aid while being an Afghan civilian in your Afghan neighborhood. That is enough for America to fucking strike you from the sky. That is just one fraction of the terror that the United States of America has unleashed upon people living in developing nations that are kept down by actions such as the one that you are seeing on your screen.
And so everything gets filtered through that lens of, oh, this is the terrorist, this is the person we're looking for.
Just in time to see you spiral into
in the past 2 decades, there has been an estimated 14,000 US drone strikes in Pakistan, Afghanistan, Yemen, and Somalia, leaving up to 1,750 civilians killed.
I no longer
Remember, these are... Oh, this is really sad, dude. This is something that I've brought up before as well. These are the conservative estimates, okay?
I love blue skies. In fact, I now prefer gray skies.
Blue skies means
the drones do not fly when the skies are gray.
Reports have shown that US airstrikes and drone strikes undercount civilian casualties. These deaths can lead to an increase in anti-US sentiment.
When civilians are killed, the terrorist leaders can then use that as a recruitment tool to try to bring in more militants into its fold.
Some say that without the risk to soldiers' lives, decisions are taken with less care.
There's no pilot at risk, there's no special operations force at risk, and therefore the moral hazard is that it causes the country to take more sort of riskier behaviors with respect to the other side. And so that can translate into more civilian casualties.
If that were to happen in Madrid or Paris or Berlin, it would be on the
Wait,
front
didn't I have this dude? I literally had this dude on the stream, right?
pages of every newspaper, and
look at that.
unfortunately that's not been the case because people are able to just shrug away Afghan civilian lives being lost, and that's the story of 20 years of occupation and drone strikes in Afghanistan, unfortunately.
While the US developed drone technology, recent wars point to its utility not just in counter-terrorism efforts, but increasingly in battlefields around the globe.
Oil-rich Azerbaijan purchases sophisticated military technology. including drones, from Israel and Turkey.
If this was Russia, you'd be arrested for showing us this. Yeah, I know. Except, you know, Americans do get arrested for showing this, okay? Well, not this footage. Vice won't show the footage that at least one American in this chat right now who's watching was very famously arrested for leaking. I don't know if you know that or not, but, you know, 23 is soon. Yeah, I know. These are Bayraktars, by the way, what you're watching. Dude, it's kind of wild. How can you fucking turn around and literally say, like, even in this issue, it wasn't me? Yeah, it was not XY Chelsea 87 in the chat.
Chelsea.
Definitely
Trans
not
pride.
her, who we are talking about currently. But how can you fucking watch this shit and still be like, well, you'd get arrested in Russia for showing this? Yeah, okay, it sucks. Yeah, I get it. Like, why not just say what you truly mean, which is, I wish you were arrested in America for saying this, because that's what that means. The second part of that, always is the follow through. Why don't you go to Russia and try this? Why would I do that? Am I a Russian citizen? Am I Russian? No, I'm American. I'm an American citizen in the United States of America, having this fucking conversation with other Americans. Aren't we living in a fucking democracy, dude? Isn't this supposed to have some kind of like impact? You shouldn't turn around and literally be like, no, this place should be more like Russia. What a strange fucking take. Anyway, here, the TOS
In
is coming right
2020,
now.
a war between Azerbaijan and Armenia over the Nagorno-Karabakh region showed how drones can turn the tide in a conventional conflict.
Azerbaijan had access to drones that allowed them to put up persistent air coverage, looking for Armenian forces on the ground, and then target them with drone strikes.
Nagorno-Karabakh may be a window into the future of modern warfare.
Machine guns made trench warfare extremely lethal, and militaries had years of bloody trench warfare to change their tactics. Drones are, over the next several decades, likely to change ground warfare in a way that is equally as profound.
Drones have played an outsized role in Ethiopia, Libya, and Syria, where Turkish drones are a routine tool against Kurdish rebels. China, Turkey, and Israel are the main exporters of these cheap militarized drones. The market is expected to reach $32 billion by 2025.
China's entrance into the drone market transformed the drone proliferation landscape, and it's only accelerated since then with the entrance of Turkey into the market.
These exports have effectively lowered the barriers to entry of controlling your own military fleet.
I just got to remind people right now that my brother says that America and its capabilities of building drones, it's such a sad thing that he brought up. He was like, listen, dude, the Turkish drones, he's like, Turkish drones, after looking at the Bayraktar and like its capabilities, he's like, the Turkish drones are like reliable and affordable. It's like a Toyota Corolla. That's why a lot of these other countries love it, because, you know, it's cheap, it's reliable, it gets the job done. But he's like, America, on the other hand, America makes the Lamborghini of drones. Like, Turkey's making the fucking Camry of drones. Probably China too, I don't know. He's like, America makes like the supercar, like luxury, exotic supercar of drones. Like #1 fucking drones. I said this last week, but there's new people in here, so I'm just gonna fucking, he's like, it's the Bugatti of fucking drones. Which is really, really sad, because it's really fucking sad to think, because like we could make the Bugatti of everything, but the only thing we make the Bugatti of is fucking drones, dude. It's just murder machines. It sucks. Like that's where our productive capabilities go.
You don't need to have an F-16 aircraft to be able to have air power. And that has had an equalizing effect on warfare in many ways.
Equalizing effect on warfare.
Groups and countries getting access to air power and using it in conflict.
Incredible.
As drones proliferate, there's a fear that they may lead to longer conflicts and higher civilian casualties.
I think these drones will make it all too easy for these wars to continue at a level of low intensity, because there's less cost that's borne by using that technology.
Hey, Hasan, I'm a huge fan here. Just want to realize you opened a stream with a Bayraktar fucking club remix, and now we're watching a video about drones killing kids. Please don't play that song again, lol. Thanks. I mean, I've talked about this before while showing the original Bayraktar remix, that the Bayraktar and drones now have turned into depending on who's using them, have turned into either an emancipatory tool in the same way that the AK-47 was seen by numerous fucking developing nations, or a tool for more warfare and more subjugation and more death and destruction from above, like in the case of Turkey using it, or numerous other countries using them. Okay, so that's why I didn't. That's why I usually don't show it, or have talked about, even after showing it, literally talked about the ethical complications of that. Anyway, here's the TOS stuff happening right now.
Non-state actors such as drug cartels and even terrorist groups are increasingly using armed drones. Drones are even being used in assassination attempts on politicians.
They thought it was fireworks first, but it was a drone bomb. A brazen assassination attempt against Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.
The widespread availability of drones and the ability to arm them with relatively crude homemade weapons suggests that over time this will be an increasing threat.
Autonomous weapons are maybe the next revolution, and drones will play a key role.
They can fly high above.
You know, we talk about how like certain countries are fucking, you know, client states for the CIA or whatever. But we are a client state for the military-industrial complex and our corporate oligarchs. You know what I mean? Like, we're literally, like, America as a government is a tax extraction industry that takes money from citizens and then reappropriates those funds directly back to our superpower, our supercharged industries that either are producing oil or whatever, that also, of course, has, like, you know, that's employing American citizens too, but not always doing that, and employing people to make weapons of war, make murder guns, you know? The fuck do you mean? Like, what is the government? We are literally we are an oligarchy. CIA is a tanky boogeyman. Shit is non-existent. Let's go. Moldovan Mama Liga says the CIA is a tanky boogeyman. And that the CIA is non-existent.
But one thing you can avoid is the top.
I love him, dude. What a fucking incredible take. Does not miss. This man has never missed, dude. Untouchable. 29 month subscriber. Yes. Unlike the 30-person Moldovan military, the Moldovan Mama Liga never misses.
Swooping in and hitting targets they identify on their own or at the command of a human.
Over time, as we see more artificial intelligence incorporated into drones, they'll be able to take on more autonomous capabilities.
This isn't just the realm of science fiction. In possibly the first case of its kind, the United Nations stated that in 2020, Libya's interim government used a lethal autonomous drone attack against rival Haftar armed forces. The Cargo 2 quadcopter drones may have located and attacked independently of any kind of human control.
So in that decision of killing a target, of identifying that target, selecting that target, and engaging that target, that decision is now made by an algorithm and not by a person.
Lots of militaries around the world are going to have interest in using drones and using robotics, because as the technology advances, it will become a potentially more effective way to use force.
This is fucking
and
insane.
Many are worried.
What happens when a predator drone has as much autonomy as a self-driving car? Are we comfortable delegating life and death decisions on the battlefield to machines?
Not everyone.
No, the fucking tech. You know, the tech homies are salivating to tell us right now that actually technically self-driving cars are going to be much safer than using human, because human error is the worst problem in driving cars. And even though the technological viability isn't here yet, it's going to be eventually. And also, this would greatly make drone warfare be a lot better ultimately, because, you know, then drones would be working with autonomous drones would actually limit human casualty because it's safer.
One agrees on how autonomous the drones used in Libya are, but what is certain is that more autonomy will increase the speed in which wars are fought.
The temporal dimension, this fleeting superiority that you may be facing, where decisions will be made that fast, it might be algorithm against algorithm.
The introduction of greater automation and artificial intelligence into warfare could accelerate.
To be fair, autonomous drones would be a lot better at targeting the American government. Dude, drones have fucking laser pinpoint accuracy. What the fuck are you talking about? It's not the problem isn't the human error that like misfires or whatever. The issue is the intelligence. They've literally brought it up here. The issue is the intelligence and the lack of interest in preserving the sanctity and safety of human lives. That's the issue. No one gives a fuck. They don't care. They don't care when they are killing random fucking brown kids.
The pace of warfare over time, this could be potentially very dangerous because it could mean that warfare is fought in ways that are beyond human control.
The US is pouring billions into the development of autonomous weapon systems, which are also known as slaughter bots.
You can go out there and program these types of weapons to target a specific person based on gender, based on perceived age, based on perceived race. So this introduces a whole host of problems outside of the military context.
You have a host of problems that you need to address, from the danger of an arms race between different actors to unintended military confrontations, unintended wars.
The future of automated military equipment is still undecided. In December, UN talks failed to agree to a ban on autonomous weapons.
Brown kids in the drone field are called tits, terrorists in training. I've heard this before. I mean, I've heard this justification many times. Oh, if he would have grown up, he would have become a terrorist. So it's okay to kill little kids. Straight up.
We're at a pivotal moment in our thinking through what our future, humanity's future, will look like with or without autonomous weapons systems. And I think the international governance conversation is at the heart of this.
The convention has restricted some of the world's cruelest tools of warfare, including landmines and incendiary weapons.
The way that autocratic countries might leverage autonomy and robotics to...
Wait, what? I thought landmines were not banned according to the chatters earlier. I mean, obviously, like Geneva suggestions, you know, not conventions. International law is not real. It's just international suggestions for, you know, brown and black and poor countries that we can use to destroy them, like as a justification to destroy them. But
violate human rights and repress their people is actually a pretty big deal, and one that we should be thinking about.
However drones and autonomous weapons are used, they will play a key role in the wars of the future.
If no one felt responsible for killing in war, how might that change war? Would force be used more leniently in warfare? And what would that say about us as a society if no one felt responsible for the consequences of war?
Nice. Hey, if you like this video, please subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out on any future videos.
Oh my God, it's